Hey cousins, welcome to Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas.
Welcome, cousins, to this episode of Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas. I'm your host, Cornell Wright, the People's Lobbyist. Let's talk about a post-audit of Operation Warp Speed. Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas is intended for the participation of responsible adults of legal drinking age who wish to engage in substantive virtual discussions and social drinking for entertainment purposes only. Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas does not advocate the abuse of alcoholic beverages. Choosing to participate in any of the drinking activities shared in the program should be made with moderation and caution and is the sole responsibility of the user. Now, cousins, I'm still wearing my mask and you should too. Welcome. Today, cousins, let's have a conversation about Operation Warp Speed. And if you recall last year, 2020, that almost forgotten year, that MMXX year, like I might get a t-shirt about that, but MMXX, in May, the former president and his staff got together and they announced Warp Speed, Operation Warp Speed. Operation Warp Speed, to my understanding, and help me if I'm wrong, was for the federal government on behalf of all the citizens, all the cousins in the United States, to assist our pharmaceutical industry in regards to coming up with a vaccine for COVID-19 as quickly as possible. What was going to happen is that the government was going to minimize or streamline maybe is a better word, some of the requirements of going through the testing for drugs to make sure it had the proper efficacy and thus in the impact. And if you notice, that's kind of happened, right? Because it came out, it was first available for adults, and they worked on it, got some more clinical trials. They got it down for kids at 15, now it's down to kids at 12. You know what I'm talking about, right? It also was going to assist in financing organizations, those pharmaceuticals, with their research and development operations, okay? Some of them to the tune over $1 billion for some of the companies, others over half a billion each, 480 some billion dollars, okay? All right, and so to their credit, and then there was other things the government was going to do. They were going to help help with logistics from the military, which they did, kind of, sort of, and then the new administration came in, helped to finish that up and make it all smooth and everything. But that's what Operation Warp Speed was supposed to do. So, congratulations. It got us vaccines in about the November timeframe of 2020. So here's to the operation for being successful in that regard. So my question, cousins, is this. When you think about it and you go back through any major event or activity, think about your business, think about your family life, think about what happens in your community. If you're going to spend a whole lot of money on a brand new first-time project, don't you go back and do a post-audit to understand what worked and what didn't work? Simple, right? A post-audit. Is that too much to ask, cousins? Because we spent multiple billions of dollars on this. Now, to its credit, right now, Pfizer has just gone through and gotten approved to being a completely FDA-approved drug, and Moderna's coming through very shortly thereafter. So now people are being able to be more proactive, if you will, or more on a better foundation in regards to issuing mandates regarding having vaccines, okay? I happen to think we ought to have vaccines because, as you recall from a couple episodes ago, my buddy Bob Gallant years ago said that rules are made for when brains run out. The COVID is real serious, and we've seen it start to modify and migrate before our very eyes, cousins. This thing is not leaving on its own. We're going to have to fight to get it away. But let's go back to Operation Warp Speed. What happened? Okay, well, as you all recall, early on in the process, there was some question regarding how many doses had been purchased from Pfizer, okay, or at least allocated for the purchase. By the way, Pfizer did not receive, to my reading or knowledge, any of the research and development money. However, they required or requested, however the choice of words you want to use, to have a market opportunity after the first wave of vaccines were created. Market opportunity, in my mind, says, I'm going to be able to sell a whole lot more of these at a price I think I can make money off of. Tell me if I'm wrong, cousins. That means I'm going to make some more money when the profit's good. And now where are we? We're starting to find out, well, maybe you need to get a booster shot because of the variant, because we didn't take care of what we should have and fought the old variant of COVID-19. Now we're dealing with the Delta variant, okay? Maybe they knew something we didn't know. Maybe we should have known better. I think we should have known better. That was a bad idea. So cousins, so my question is, where's the post-audit? A lot of times you hear people in Congress of various parties or various political persuasions or whatever talking about either we don't have enough money or we need to spend money on different things. But when money's already been allocated, is anybody talking about where the money went and how that happened? As you look at a post-audit, it could very well be everything went perfectly. But cousins, anybody gonna take that bet? No, we know there were some slips and trips. Pfizer at one point in time identified that they had a manufacturing facility that had some difficulties. That happens, okay? But then how does that accommodate it? How does that happen? Also, I understand the members of the former administration didn't order enough vaccines initially from Pfizer, and then they took what they had as excess from they identified and sold them to other parts of the world. Then we had to scramble to catch up. You see what I'm saying, cousins? Those kind of things we need to understand and have some kind of investigation on, i.e. a post-audit. You know, it doesn't have to be a big congressional thing. Just a post-audit as you look at anything. If you have a barbecue, cousins, and it doesn't go right, don't you talk about the barbecue afterwards to see what went wrong? Oh, well, gee, who bought the potato salad? We're not going to ask them to bring that anymore. Okay, what happened to the meat? Didn't get cooked in time, didn't get here in time. You see what I'm saying? We bought the cake, but it was ice cream cake, and it was 80 degrees outside. It melted. You know what I'm saying, cousins? These things happen. But let's find out what did happen. Here's why, cousins. By knowing what happened, we're in a position to know how, on our behalf, which was, I think, appropriate, the federal government can act on our behalf when there is what? The next pandemic outbreak. Is there going to be another one? Probably, cousins. We've had multiple outbreaks over almost the last every 2 or 3 years. Think about it. Ebola, bird flu, avian flu, the swine flu, COVID. That's not even the whole list. How we respond, to my understanding, there was a playbook created by the Obama administration which clearly outlined what the government should have done in order to respond to that. We didn't do it. So let's go back and look at that too, but that's not what I'm talking about. Take care of the Obama playbook for pandemic response, one, and then let's look at what Operation Warp Speed cost us and how we can improve that process going forward. I am not going to claim that the results of the vaccine, which I took and I hope all of you get, was wrong or inappropriate, and at that point in time, whatever the cost is, we need to pay for it. However, spoilage, bad decisions, and mismanagement are things that we shouldn't have to pay for, cousins. And the only way to figure those things out is to know what happened so we know what to look out for next time it occurs. There was a guy I used to work with years ago, cousins, and he was in a controlled type of environment of a project I was involved with. On the back of his chair, over his chair, he had a sign that said, "In God we trust, all others we audit." Think about that. In God we trust, all others we audit. So let's start to look at and talk to your congressmen and your senators when they come home on recess right now and say, where's the audit on Operation Warp Speed to understand what happened, good and bad, so that if it ever happens again, we have a playbook to know how we ought to address it in order to get, one, hopefully, the drugs available to us sooner, and so that more cousins don't run into all those difficulties they did, because too many cousins had impact because of things not being done correctly, right? Simple. All right, cousins, you take care of yourself. We'll see you next episode on Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas. Like me, because I like you. Bye.
We are the people. Welcome to the show.